This is Project Baron. It's usually located over that way in my office. But we're not in my office today because this project needs a little bit of maintenance. So if you guys have been watching my channel for any length of time, you're probably familiar with Project Baron. I put four or five videos together on it a couple months ago, which I'll link to down below in the video description if you guys need a refresher. Basically, this is an all AMD system, Threadripper 1950X, two Vega 64s. And when I built it, I used Primo Chill's View Fluid. Now, Primo Chill's recommendation for their View Fluid is only 8 hours of use per day. It's more marketed as a show fluid than an everyday use product. But because I wanted a show build, I used the View Fluid, and for the first week or so, I complied with Primo Chill's recommendation of only use it about 8 hours a day. After that, I kind of got lazy, and I just left my system on because after all, this was my daily driver. This is what I was using to edit all my videos on, and I needed access to it all the time. So I did leave it running 24 hours a day for about a month straight. And if there's anything wrong with the blocks, which we're gonna find out in a minute, blame me, don't blame Primo Chill. They made it very clear what this fluid was for. But with that said, what I wanna get done today is drain the system, break it down, take the blocks off, take a look inside the blocks, see if anything has happened, because I'm not entirely sure if it even did, and then put it back together using Primo Chill's True Fluid, which is just the opaque, non-view version of basically what we have in here already, so the color should be pretty much the same. In between, I'm also going to use their new system reboot and system prep kits, which they also were gracious enough to send over along with that coolant. So we should get everything flushed out really nicely, clean out the blocks if they need to be cleaned, put everything back together again, and then we should be good to go. The True Fluid is a 24-hour operating fluid, should be fine for probably 6 months or so before I would need to flush it again. Opaque fluids I tend to want to clean out a little more frequently than clear fluids, which can last for maybe up to a year before you flush them. So I'm kind of anxious to get this thing back up and running in my office because I've been editing videos on a 2700X system recently, which is good, but not nearly the power of a 1950X. So let's drain the system, get these blocks apart, and take a look at them. Okay, so we got everything drained out of the loop. The only thing that's left that I couldn't get for some reason is right here. There's like a tiny, tiny little bit of coolant just still stuck in this tube. Not gonna cause us any problems at all. There's also coolant still stuck in the CPU block, which is normal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disassemble this whole thing now, break it down, take the blocks off, take the CPU block off, take the GPUs out, and take the GPU blocks apart. And then we'll see what the inside of them looks like. All right, so we've got what we need to start cleaning out these blocks. We've got our two GPU blocks, we've got our heat killer CPU block, we've got our toothbrush, we've got our diluted lemon juice solution, and our driver kit. And some paper towels, just in case. So we got the camera directly above here so that we could kind of look down and see exactly what I am doing and what I am seeing as I take things apart. So let's just get into it and see what these blocks look like. Okay, so I've never had this apart before, so this little RGB strip's got to stay in here. We've got all of our screws. We'll just move off to the side. These are all the same size. We know where they go. And here is our block. And a very delicate O-ring. So for those of you guys not familiar with how water blocks work, this is called a jet plate. This is what distributes the coolant through these little micro fins. The water actually enters and the coolant enters, hold on, here we go. So the coolant enters through this area here, this slit, goes directly down into this jet plate and then gets distributed through the fins. I'm gonna see if I could crop in on this right here because there is definitely some gunk. There's definitely some gunk in the jet plate. Once we take this off, Okay. So, yeah. So there's some gunk right here on the jet plate, but the rest of the fins actually look very clean, which is really good news. And to be honest with you, I don't know that I was expecting it to look this clean. There is some, besides this line of gunk, there is some, I don't know, some sediment here, or like right around the area where the jet plate sits. But I think we could clean that off pretty easily. All right, so this is probably as clean as I'm gonna be able to get it just with the toothbrush. There is a little bit of, I don't know if this is corrosion or something along those lines, that I tried to scrub and wasn't really coming off. So what I'd like to do, I think, is let this sit in a wash of this, basically, of lemon juice. It's diluted lemon juice and water. And that will clean out these microchannels really well, and hopefully should put this back to being all shiny and new. This portion of it, we're gonna take out these O-rings, again, very gently. They are delicate. You don't want to stretch them or bend them and break them. And then we can see that there is some residue in here, but it's not really bad. This is like what you normally expect from just regular pastel opaque coolant. You know, you're gonna get some residue, but this isn't nearly as bad as I maybe was expecting. A lot of people are either reporting or speculating that with the View coolant, you just get, just get gunked up to the point where there's no more flow in the blocks anymore, or that it eats away at the metal or something along those lines. And that's just doesn't seem to be the case here. I'll put it that way. I guess I can't speak to all scenarios, but I didn't experience that, so that's good news. Here is the first of the Vega 64 GPUs, and let's take this block apart and see if there's anything different inside. From what I'm looking at on the outside here, these fins look about as clean as the fins did on the CPU block, so hopefully it's the same kind of scenario. There is obviously a little discoloration here that we're gonna need to get off, little red residue, but other than that, hopefully there's really no issues. So fingers crossed, and let's dive in. So as you can see, I decided that I was gonna leave the block on the card. I did this for a couple of reasons. The first is that I'm a little lazy, but the primary reason is that I could tell that there was really no coolant left in this block. I mean, as you guys can see from the overhead, there's, very, very little in here. We're just gonna kind of dab it up with a paper towel real quick, just to make sure that nothing gets on the card. But just for you guys playing along at home, I definitely would recommend, if you're gonna be doing this, disassemble the whole block first. I'm kind of doing this for time savings at this point, but do as I say, not as I do. So same as the CPU block, we see the jet plate right here, where the coolant gets distributed into the fins. So let's see if we can get that off. There we go. So it looks very similar to how the CPU block worked. The fins on a GPU block are much more substantial than on a CPU block. They're taller, the grooves are deeper. So you can see that more gunk has accumulated here, but nothing to the point where it's gonna be, where we're not gonna be able to fix it, or just kind of clean it out really quickly. And I'm hoping we don't need to soak this one, because I don't think that it's in a state I don't think it's in the same kind of state that this was, with a little bit of corrosion around the edges. This one should be okay. So let's try to clean this out really quickly, and hopefully the other one looks the same. And then here's the after shot. So hopefully you guys can see how clean that came out. There is no gunk in there at all. That just wiped right away. So I'm pretty happy with that result. Let's put them back together. Both of our GPU blocks have been disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled, and they both looked about the same. They both had just a little bit of residue that was easy to clean off with a little bit of brushing and a little bit of wiping, as you guys can see here. But the CPU block is still soaking upstairs because I wanted to try to get some of that discoloration off. So I'm gonna flash forward in a second and we're gonna have the whole thing rebuilt. And if I encounter anything along the way, I'll certainly let you know.
1 hour later.
All right, guys, I'm filming this part of the video with my phone because I don't even know what's happening right now. And I'm kind of in shock. And I don't feel like going and getting all my camera gear to record this because honestly, I'm pretty upset. Look at that. Look at that. So I refilled the red was fine. I refilled the gray, ran it for about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. And this tube, this right here, just this thing popped off and shot this way, and coolant went, I mean, as you could see, just everywhere. And I think I am understandably upset. So, yeah. Great. Good times. Let's take one more look in here. And I guess, I don't know, press F or something? Because I'm definitely saying I got coolant all over my face because it was just spraying. It was spraying. So I'm going to end the video here, guys. I don't know what I'm going to do. I had to disassemble this whole machine now and dry everything and test it. And I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Thanks for watching. All right, guys. So it's been like, I don't know, a half hour. I've calmed down a little bit. I was pretty upset, and I've been trying to clean as best I can, but I just want to, I just want to show you guys a few things. So I figured out what the issue was. So it was this fitting here that was connected to the block right here. Came out like this. And as I mentioned, the tube that was here just kind of, it was like it was spring loaded. It just shot off. Hold on, let me see if I could demo. So the tube that was connected like this, then, you know, 90'd like this, and then went down to here. So when it was in here, it was like there was force pushing it this way for some reason, and it just, I guess with the combined with the resistance of the fluid pushing through the block, this thing just like shot off. And it shot off and rotated, actually. So the whole piece that was connected here kind of rotated like that. And so coolant was just spraying out of the end of the tube because it was pressurized because the pump was running. So it was spraying everywhere. And I've gotten a few things out of here, but I mean, you could see that I've cleaned this. Like this is dry compared to what it was. But so there's coolant everywhere in here. I cleaned off a lot of it, but you could see it's still like all over here, all over the chipset, all over the PCIe slots. And then I've just been cleaning, trying to mop everything up because it was all over the floor. It got onto the back of the sofa. It got onto the arm of this. It must have shot over this way, splashed onto the arm of the sofa. It got over in this area over here, and Didn't get on my cat, thank God, because he's white. But it got all the way over till there's still a little bit on the floor. See, right there, all the way over there, and it went all the way over to somewhere in this area over here. So, I mean, this isn't a small area. I mean, I guess it's not huge, but it's not tiny, and water was just spraying everywhere. It got on my bar, and I'm gonna have to scrub that real good or repaint it or something. But yeah, so this is not a good situation, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this hardware. I guess I gotta keep disassembling it, let it dry out, and then test it all. At this point, I don't know if I'm gonna reassemble this, because man, this is something. All right, for real this time, guys. Thanks for watching. How about this? Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.